What's your Catholic drive time?
With Joe McLean and Emily Alcaraz.
But joining us right now via phone call is Dana Cheng, the vice president at Epoch Times and one of their chief editors. Good morning, Dana.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for
morning.
being a part of our program today. We're very grateful to have you. I want to dive into talking about China. And China seems to be on the march around the world. We're seeing aggressive behavior, obviously, with their trade war with Australia. We saw them on the border with India. We're seeing, of course, the ongoing struggles with Taiwan. But here in the West, I think it's just becoming more and more obvious that we could be facing a lot of trouble with the CCP government in China. And I know that you were trying to give a warning to the West, and I wanted to chat about that with you. Where are we at, and what are we facing?
Well, in the last 2 decades, China has systematically infiltrated our country. It got to the point that they're ready to subvert the whole system here.
Mm. We saw some video. I think it was Ginny Lang that put it out, and she still has it linked up on her Rumble account, if I'm not mistaken, of a professor sort of bragging about how, even with Hunter Biden, bragging about how they have all of these people in high-level positions that can do the will of the CCP. Is there any veracity to that, or was he just bragging, or is this like a clear video documented evidence of our current circumstances?
Well, that's the reality, and a lot of American people are not aware of. It's a true reality. So China has built a whole net of, they call it good friend. So whenever there's a conflict with America, they can use this friend to settle any issue, of course, for China's advantage. Let me give an example. In year 2001, that's almost 20 years ago, a think tank in D.C., they do all kinds of a survey, and the director had a conversation with me, and she said, well, within a very short period of time, we found that many people on the Hill in Congress and chief staff of Congress suddenly have Chinese girlfriend.
Wow.
And they did the survey, it's about 200 of them. And this is also true at the same time, a lot of CEOs of important corporations start to have Chinese girlfriend and divorce wife and marry a Chinese 30 years younger. So it's a systematic network of honey trap. That's just one method. And over the last 20 years, China has built a lot of wealth from America, basically shipped the wealth from America to China, and then use this money to corrupt many targeted VIPs.
Mm. What about that data that got leaked of the nearly 2 million names of CCP members, many of which were still living within China, but there was also many more that were living overseas and had influential roles in corporate America, and as well as in Europe. How much of that should we be paying attention to? Is it could it be just a case where, in order to succeed in China, you had to become a member of the party, whether you wanted to or not? Or should we be more concerned that these folks have these sort of influential roles throughout the West?
I have to say this situation is very dangerous. For communist control Chinese people. So for those living in China, they have to be a party member to climb up the career ladder. You cannot survive well there. So they basically control all the influential people there. So that's true. So Chinese people are the biggest victim of a Communist Party. But at the same time, Communist Party used propaganda to brainwash people. So a lot of them follow the Communist Party willingly. When they come to America, they still stay in that kind of a mindset. They also have family member. They don't want to offend Communist Party, and they have opportunity to make money. They want to take advantage of. And of course, they are Chinese people who immigrated to this country and really support freedom, and they don't want to have anything to do with the Communist Party. As a matter of fact, millions have openly announced they withdraw from the Communist Party.
Wow.
So Communist Party is at a very slippery spot. It can fall apart any day, I have to say. Within a very short period of time, it can fall apart, just like the Soviet Union. But at the same time, they are a whole group of people. They are willingly following Communist Party, and they work in Western corporations and at the key positions. I give you an example. A friend of mine works in a very important pharmaceutical company, and in his group there are many Chinese. So some of them just download a lot of internal important data and just went back to China and built a company doing the same thing.
So,
and he himself has been approached by Chinese trying to recruit him back to China or stay here, but give China the data.
Wow.
The research data.
And what are they doing with this data?
Well, you basically do not need to invest to do the research, and you have the result of the development. You build a company to produce the same product, but at a much lower price, and you turn around and replace American company. That's how they can wipe out competitors, because it's at a lower cost. It's not just labor that's cheap. They don't have to invest to do research. And so they steal the technology, make the product, replace American companies.
Wow. Hold that thought right there. We're speaking with Dana Cheng. She is with the Epoch Times, the vice president, one of their chief editors. We're talking about China and the threat, the warning that she's giving to the West. And we should pay attention to this. But we're going to go to a break. We're going to be back here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll continue our conversation with Dana Cheng. So don't go anywhere. More to come here on Catholic Drive Time. I'm really curious about Falun Gong and the Uyghurs, too. And how about Hong Kong? All of that coming up the next break right after this. Don't go anywhere. Catholic Drive Time. We'll be right back. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to Catholic Drive Time, keeping you informed and inspired. I'm your host, Joe McLean. It's good to be on with you. We're joined by Dana Cheng from the Epoch Times. We're talking about China and the warning that we should all be paying attention to in these days. Dana, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being on again with us.
Yes. I want to talk about the ideology issue. The communist concept is not like in the format of Soviet Union and China. I think the West have not really understand the communist concept. So in China, it cloned the Soviet Union system. The communists use one group against another group. So it purposefully create a division in the society, use one group against another group so that it can seize power. So in China, it's a class struggle. It used the workers and peasants against rich people. And they say, okay, so they are evil, and you have to take their wealth, and you have to, they killed a lot of landlords and the business owners. But here in America, It's the same. It's a communist ideology. It uses racist card instead of a class card.
Wow.
It's a racist card. Oh, this is not fair. They are racist. But to me, it's a communist concept. You just create a division, and you incite hatred. You use one group against another group. It's purposefully creating this so that it can seize power. It's a communist way.
Now, they've done this not just in America, but they're doing this in many countries all over the world. How do they sustain this level of infiltration and activity? A minute in the last segment, before we went to the break, you talked about how at any moment they could fall apart. When you said that, I was thinking, well, that would create a vacuum. Who would fill that hole in China? And would that be good or bad? What would that look like? How do they sustain this whole thing?
Well, if communism fall apart, China will be a free China. China has 5,000 years civilization. Communists only ruled for 70 years. Chinese people know how to rule a country. So look at Hong Kong. Look at Taiwan. Hong Kong is right now is in the communist control. But for many years, Hong Kong people can rule themselves. Taiwan can rule themselves.
Why don't the Chinese people stand up then? I know in Hong Kong there's been massive protests. In fact, I was looking at a story today of a protester who was shot in the chest point blank during one of them and is now living on the run, doesn't want to be incarcerated for eternity. So why don't the people of China in mainland China, why don't they stand up and protest the actions of their government?
Communist control by violence. It use two tools to them. They think most important two tools, gun and pen. Meaning they can shot you, they can use violence, they can put you in jail, torture you to death, just like Falun Gong people. So, and then they use propaganda to brainwash. They build a wall so that people cannot access the internet outside. They don't know the truth.
Wow.
So they willingly follow. So that's why they are hundreds of thousands internet police. They control what you say on social media. They control what you say on text message, on phone. They totally control you. So before you start to gather together, they already put you in jail. That's why you cannot see 1 million people protest in China.
And this is why we've been talking about censorship a lot. And Dana, we've been following the story of Jimmy Lai from Hong Kong, which is controlled by the CCP. And of course, just to remind our listeners, Jimmy Lai was the creator of Apple Daily, the pro-democracy newspaper, that he was arrested and denied bail. And so we see a lot of censorship in this country as well. It's on the rise. Dana, how far do you think America is from a social credit score and a complete censorship, just like they have in the CCP?
I have to say the left media and the big corporation, big technology companies is very close to the communist media. It's very close. The communist media they always use lie, and it's made to lie. It's used to control other people's speech. And it creates hatred. It's not following Communist Party. It's the important tool to realize its goal. So it's very dangerous.
We're speaking with Dana Cheng with Epoch Times, and I've recently spent way more time on Epoch than I had in the past, and I'm glad I have. There's so many great articles over there, and and some very insightful information that I really encourage our audience to check out. One of the articles that I saw there, I think it was yesterday, it says Beijing substantially involved in U.S. 2020 elections, according to a China analyst. Dana, let me ask you, how much do you think the CCP was involved in trying to interfere, manipulate, or have some sort of influence over the U.S. elections this last round?
Okay, first of all, the whole mail-in thing used the excuse of coronavirus. So without this virus from China, we won't have this crazy mail-in ballot issue. And then secondly, China have consistently built a way to hack into American system. They have stored a lot of technology through this way and military technology through this way. So they have been, trying to hack into American system. And as we heard, I haven't had many different way to verify it, but as we heard, it's not to our surprise that they have hacked into the system for this election.
Wow.
And of course, I have to say, Chinese people, there are many Chinese people inside China, they support Trump. But the Communist Party is afraid of Trump.
I can imagine.
Many Chinese people see Trump as their hope to tear down Communist Party, but the party is scared. The Communist Party is scared.
Dana,
I just want to say we have 4 minutes left.
Okay, I wanted to ask about the China deal, the Vatican-China deal. Dana, are you familiar with the Vatican-China deal?
Oh, they have always tried to, for a long time, they try to please China.
The Vatican?
For a long time. Yes.
Wow, okay.
They try to please China. And let me tell a little bit of history. Stalin, when he started to rule Soviet Union, he shut down all the churches.
Yes.
And very quickly, he realized that actually it's easier to control people through churches. So he put his people to lead the church and open the door, and then people went to the church, and it's easier for him to rule that way. And same as in China. He will not allow the independent thinking and independent choice of belief, but they will let you to go to the church and temples they control. And of course, in every religion, they place their loyal Communist Party member in the important position in churches.
We're just about 2 minutes away from having to say goodbye for the day. We're speaking with Dana Cheng from Epoch Times about China. Last question I want to ask you, Dana, is about the Falun Gong and the Uyghurs, that seem to be very persecuted groups in addition to Christians throughout China. Is that still going to be a major concern in the days and years to come for China? Or, what is the status? We've heard of these camps of the Uyghurs that have been put into and their organs being harvested. You got about a minute and a half. What is the status there?
The persecution of Falun Gong is the most severe persecution in history.
Wow.
And it's greatly underreported. When persecution started, there were 100 million Chinese practicing Falun Gong. 100 million. That means everyone in China knows someone or has a family member, a friend, practicing Falun Gong. That's 1 in every 12 people. So when the persecution started, they put Falun Gong people in jail, burned all the books, and many have been tortured to death. And later on, and many work as a slave labor. And that's why the product in America can be so cheap.
Wow.
It's slave labor.
We're out of time. I'm so sorry, Dana.
We have to have you back, Dana.
We're going to have you come back and keep us abreast of the situation. But Dana Cheng from Epoch Times, thank you so much for being on with us and sharing your insights.
Thank you for joining us on Your Catholic Drive Time, where it is our pleasure to keep you informed and inspired.
Join us Monday through Friday at the same time, right here on your favorite Catholic radio station.
Don't forget to connect with us. Just go to facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Again, that's facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Be sure to share more than just us today. Share Jesus with everyone you meet.
Bye now, and God love you.